All right. Good afternoon. It's Saturday, July 19th, 2025, and we're going to take another look at $5 in the World, my book project. The stories are based on, or the chapters, I should say, are based on stories our dad would tell us, sayings he used, the approach to life that he had. And I feel like it's worth recording these things, writing these things down, because he lived a full, eventful, meaningful life over 101 years. And and I think what he believed and what he taught and how he lived is is valuable, because following his process, following the way he looked at things, can really help you live a better life. Now, a lot of the things have to be factored in, but I just think mindset, attitude, belief system, worldview, if you will, make a big difference on the way we experience our lives. How we think about what we think about matters. What we believe and why we believe it matters. And do we have the alignment between what we believe and what we think and what we do? Or is there a disconnect? And when there is, there tends to be problems. So I just found, in all the years I knew my dad, there was a very strong alignment between what he said he believed, what he thought was important, and how he lived his life. There was an alignment, there was a connectivity, there was a holistic feel to it all. And consequently, on his deathbed, he was able to say that he had lived 101 years and he didn't have any regrets. Doesn't mean he didn't make mistakes, doesn't mean he didn't consider maybe there are things that could have gone a different way. But in the whole, at the end of it all, because of that congruence, because of the effectiveness of the way he thought and lived, he could look at 101 years and say he was ready and he had no regrets. And that was such a gift to us, such a blessing to us. And for what it's worth, and I think it's worth a lot, my mother, when she passed away a few years before he did, from her deathbed, that was one of the last things she told us, that she had no regrets. And I find that so heartening. I find that so inspirational, really. And it's something I aspire to, is live in a way, an effective way, an authentic way, that whenever it's over for me here on this earth, that I can say I didn't regret. And I think what they really meant was they didn't leave things undone. They didn't leave things unsaid. It wasn't that they felt like they lived perfectly, but I think they felt like they didn't have unresolved issues. They had no open feuds. They didn't have broken relationships behind them. They didn't have goals or dreams that they didn't try. It was just they maxed out, and I just think that's awesome. And so that's why I read these stories. The other reason I read these stories, I've not written a book before, and having an opportunity to test out some of the ideas, some of the chapters, the outlines, the things I'm thinking about putting in there, getting feedback live or in replay, really helps me confirm if I'm on the right track or not. And doing it every week keeps me disciplined to write every week. And so for that, I'm thankful. Anyways, I'm going to read a chapter today called Go Sell Something. And what this is about, this was kind of an expression my dad used is a way of getting us motivated, to remind us that what we do for a living matters, and that if we want to impact our situation, we have to get involved. We have a role to play in that. And because we were salespeople, he was, I am, my brother was and is, or we managed salespeople, sometimes both at the same time. That was kind of, that's where everything happened. Nothing happened until you sell something. That's another old saying salespeople have. Nobody in the company has anything to do until you sell something. And so this was just this idea of control the controllables, manage the manageables, do what you can to make a difference. And and I'll read it, the chapter. Look for your feedback, your input, what you thought of it, and I look forward to all of that too. So this is the chapter I call it "Go Sell Something." My dad spent his career in sales and sales management. He proved to be excellent at both. It's more rare than one might think to be good at selling as well as effective at managing others in the process. Salespeople tend to be independent minded and a bit egotistical. They believe that their success is due to their wits and practices, and they will tend to bristle at being directed or corrected. unless they become persuaded that the manager's idea is in their best interest. They'll listen, and they might even try the suggestions. Dad projected expertise and goodwill so effectively because he authentically possessed both. He liked salespeople, and he respected how they did what they do. He knew what it takes to be successful for a long time. He knew the challenges and the pitfalls of the career as well. He had experienced many of them himself. Over time, my brother and I ended up with sales careers. At one time, we even worked together at the same location and later even became business partners in a sales operation of our own. We both learned how to sell effectively and to manage others well. Even though I majored in political theory and economics at Michigan State and I enjoyed both fields very much, I still found my way into a sales career. My brother majored in history and spent time in the theater department at Ball State University, and he too ended up in a number of different sales careers and is one now. Neither one of us thought we would end up selling for a living until we tried it. I'm glad we did. It's a career I have to this day. It's provided wealth for me and my family. It's allowed me to support causes I care about, volunteer my time to help others, and see a lot of the world. My brother can say the same. Dad showed us the integrity in the art of selling, which is in stark contrast to the conventional view of selling. He didn't use unethical tactics and he didn't tolerate those who did to work for him. He showed us that the best salespeople are not the fastest talkers, they are the best listeners. They ask the best questions. They make awareness of the client's wants and needs the basis for the transaction. At the same time, we found that it provides levels of compensation that can produce generational wealth. Zig Ziglar said the surest way to reach your dreams is to help a whole bunch of other people reach theirs. That was how we've been coached to think about selling. Dad made his company a fun place to work. He rewarded producers that did things the right way well. He pioneered the incentive packages that included spouses. He did not want his salespeople to have unhappy homes. He made sure that there was something in it for the whole family. Historically, and even now, a lot of incentive programs go only to the employee, making the company a rival for the family's time. This can make for some toxic situations. Making success a team effort makes the home front stronger. He showed his people the world. The trips they would qualify for went to places like Rome, Madrid, Rio de Janeiro, Nassau, Hong Kong. The spouses would be included in these trips. So many of his employees had never left the U.S. or even thought of doing so before Dad made it possible. We have letters from people that worked for him over the years that thank him for expanding their horizons and pushing them outside of their comfort zones. You know, it's heartening to know that he did that for other people with as much joy as he had when he did it for us. He invested in professional sales trainers and seminars for his teams before that was a widespread thing. He would lots of times take my brother and me to these events, and I remember several of those people and their lessons. He invested in the improvement of his people and made sure they had fun doing it. Once a year, my mom and dad hosted a party at the house for everybody in the organization. Salespeople, administrators, service technicians, everybody that had a hand in the company's success, and their spouses. That would be about 100 people to entertain. And I remember those parties being enjoyable and appreciated. When he went to work as an executive for Fairmont Homes, he convinced the owner to do similar things for his people there too. It was a game changer for the morale around there, and increases in production followed. He came to believe that opportunities and solutions could be generated by the result of selling well. He developed a shorthand version of his problem solving pep talks. He would say, "Go sell something." It was a powerful reminder that we had a purpose, a livelihood, and an opportunity to make a difference in someone else's life and our own. Productive action is one of the strongest antidotes for negativity, doom spirals, and discouragement. It goes a long ways towards solving money problems, relieving fears of the future, and bolstering dreams. He used the expression to remind us of our own agency in what happens to us and around us. We can think, ruminate, ponder, study, and worry about an issue as long as we choose. And if we ever want it resolved, we will have to take action. Go sell something was a message we could relate to that cut through so much indecision. A person may not earn a living from selling products or services, but we do spend a lot of our relationship time and efforts of persuasion. We spend maybe more time trying to persuade the person in the mirror about something. Persuasion is an essential element of selling, and in this sense, we're all selling something sometimes. So if there's an unresolved issue that needs to be addressed and you have an idea about it, or a plan that you want to see tried, and you have somebody that needs to sign off on it, have that conversation and go sell something to make both of you better off than you were before that talk. So that's my chapter on go sell something. That was an expression my dad used a lot, like I said, to kind of get us motivated, get us off our out of our heads and into the game. And he used it to keep himself motivated too. He knew if he wanted to travel, he knew if he wanted to go to the nice restaurant, he knew if he wanted to keep buying those tailor-made clothes, he knew if he wanted to make one more person happy in this world, he needed to go sell something. It was his mission, but it was the mission that supported his bigger mission, which was to help other people's lives get better, to help other people expand their territories, to help other people believe in themselves more than they already did. And he used the energy that took to sell things to sell ideas. And he used them interconnectedly. And in a way, again, that created a sense of alignment and purpose in the way he went about his business. And he looked at a lot of things through that lens. I shared another chapter how he used that same idea of we're always selling something to guide the way he managed his marriage. And all the important relationships he was in. Put your best foot forward. What's best for the other person? What do they want and need? What do I have to offer that'll make those needs and wants met? How can I listen more? How can I offer suggestions? How can I interact with the person to help them get where they want to go? For him, that was all in the essence of selling, and it applied across all different kinds of relationships. And I also really admire the fact that he had held salesmanship and entrepreneurship in a high regard. And that's been passed down to both my brother and myself. And a lot of people that worked for him ended up being entrepreneurs themselves. And he just showed us that when you are in service to others, when other people get what they want because you were there, then good things happen. You got to give to get, that kind of idea. He thought that was manifested well in the practice and the career of selling, and I don't disagree. Again, it has to be done ethically for it to pay off the way it's supposed to. And although a lot of people do selling with less than the best ethics, every career that exists has room for scoundrels. It's unfortunate, but it's the human condition. But when it's done the way it's supposed to be, a lot of good things happen. And I hope this helps. I hope, like I said before, at the end of that chapter, whether you sell products or service for a living or you don't, there's still the need to persuade, to sell people on your ideas, to sell people on your goals, to sell people on the plans that you have. By that I mean, persuading them that you have something worthwhile that they might want to get on board with, or support in some way, or change a behavior to match up. All kinds of things. In our household, we looked at all of that as some kind of selling, because we didn't look at it as manipulation or taking advantage of people. We held it in high regard. We saw it as a thing of effort because you do it because you care. And if you're doing it right, they'll know that you care. All right. That is a chapter. I'm confident the sound worked this time. And I believe I figured out what the glitch was. I got to confess it was user error. There was a different setting on the microphone that somehow had toggled a different way. I didn't notice yesterday, noticed it today. Here we are. So thanks for being here. I'll see you again next week with another chapter from my book project, $5 in the World. That's it for today. Bye for now.